Hey guys, what's up? Because many people already make lists that talk solely about the upcoming servants of the year, I wanted to do a different approach and talk about banners as a whole. This video will look at banners from the perspective of value, aka how rare a servant or a CE is, and how good those are in terms of gameplay. Now, before I show you the top 10, I want to do my honorable mentions right here at the start and give you a brief reasoning why they weren't included in the actual top 10. Honorable mention number 1 goes to the Da Vinci rerun banner that, as many of you guys know, has Jan Alter on Raid Up as the featured 5-star servant. But besides her, the banner doesn't really have anything else going for it. Just a bunch of old permanent Cs, not even a 5-star one or anything, and the other raid ups aren't really anything to shout about either. Honorable mention number 2 goes to the Fate Zero rerun banner for very similar reasons. These two events are the only ones in the game's history to feature permanent Cs, so again, you can summon those from any quartz gacha ever, and the units aren't really amazing in terms of gameplay either, but I did want to mention this briefly because I'm pretty sure it's Iskandar's final raid up as of recording this video at least, and many people like him a lot, myself included, so this is your last chance to get him. Yes, I know he's included in most future GSSRs, but you can't realistically count those as chances. And finally, honorable mention number 3 goes to the Kyomaf banner. It's actually a super solid banner in terms of the units, having Raiko and Shuten as the SSRs, Yagyu as the 4-star, and Okada Izo as the 3-star servant. But the only reason I didn't include this in the actual top 10 is that I don't know if NA will get this banner, but if I had to guess, sadly I don't think we will, because it's tied to like an real life event. But hey, if it does happen, then it's actually a really solid banner to roll in. Alright, now that those are out of the way, let's start out the actual top 10 list. At number 10, I just barely included the Karano Kyokai event rerun banner. This banner features Void Shiki as the 5-star servant and, most notably, Fujino Asagami as the 4-star. There are other 4-star raid ups later on, but I'm focusing on Fujino's solo raid up here. The reason this banner just barely made it is because it's literally Fujino's only raid up that has ever existed as of recording this video, and she happens to be a limited servant. Void Shiki is not really anything to yell about in terms of gameplay. She's an alright AoE saber, and the event Cs are actually pretty terrible, especially the 5-star Cs. Fujino being a 4-star servant definitely makes it easier to try and get your very own rare bridge twister. But yeah, those are pretty much my reasonings to have this banner at the number 10 spot. Holding the number 9 spot, we have the Apocrypha event banner featuring Achilles as the 5-star servant and Keiron as the 4-star servant. The 5-star C is actually pretty good too, especially if you manage to max limit break it. Now, you might be calling me crazy for having this as low as the 9th spot on the list, but that's because both of the featured servants are permanent additions to the gacha. I was originally just gonna include this as an honorable mention, but since I do acknowledge that both Achilles and Keiron are very strong units in what they do, I wanted to include it in the backside of the list regardless. Moving on to number 8, we have a big one in the 3rd Gura Gura event banner featuring Okita Alter as the 5-star servant, a couple of 4-star servants, and also several 3-star servants, but also the new 3-star servant Okada Izo, who also happens to be the only limited 3-star servant in the game. Yes, you heard me right, this bad boy is a limited servant, and my advice is to wait either for the 3rd or the 5th day, because then Okada will be on solo raid up of the 3-stars, and believe me, you definitely want to do that if you have any interest in him. Back when this banner happened originally in JP, I used all my 300 plus quartz on day 1, and that has all the 3-star servants on raid up, and I only ended up getting 1 copy of Okada with all of that. I'm definitely not making that mistake again, even if it sucks that I cannot roll on day 1. I will personally wait for the 5th day that has Lee Lancer as the solo 4-star rate up, since Emiya is permanent and Lee is story locked, not to mention I love my boy anyway. I mainly included this due to the rarity of the servants, as none of them are really game breaking in terms of gameplay, so this is purely for you guys looking for insane value on your banners. The event Cs themselves are okay, but much like the servants, nothing to yell about. Now, at the 7th spot we have a much more simple banner in Anastasia Banner 2, featuring Ivan the Terrible as the 5-star and Antonio Salieri as the 3-star servant. That's literally it for the banner. No rotating rate ups, no CE rate ups, just those 2 units. But because Ivan is limited and Salieri is story locked, and because they are both very good units, especially Ivan, I had to include this banner in this list. Of course, I'm probably slightly biased towards Ivan. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I recently released a video of me praising this beast of a unit, so you can watch that to get an idea. But yeah, that's it for number 7. Just a good amount of gameplay and value for you right there. The number 6 spot on this list belongs to the 13 million downloads campaign that features summer servants from the first summer event, and more specifically servants from the first banner of that event. As the 5-star we have Tamamu Lancer. As the 4 stars we have Ann Archer, Kiyohime Lancer and Mordred Rider. Now, like with the Gura Gura 3 banner, I specifically want to highlight a certain day during the rotating 4-star rate up. After all, this is a gameplay and value list. So that day would again be the 5th day of the banner that has Mordred Rider on solo rate up with Tamamu Lancer. They're both very strong units in what they do, and of course they're also both limited servants. If you still don't have either of them, this is a great opportunity to strengthen your rosters with these 2 units. This banner also features the Summer Seas from the first Summer Events Banner 1, but those are nothing amazing, so don't worry if you don't manage to secure them. The 5th is very similar to the previous one, as it's also a downloads campaign, and more specifically it's the 12 million downloads campaign that features a lot of goodies from the CCC event. As the featured 5-star servant we have Kiara, and then there are 3 featured 4-star servants into rotating rate up. You have a couple of options here actually when it comes to choosing the day you roll on. Day 1 is the best one for value, as it only has Kiara and Passion Lip on rate up, and they're both limited servants. Day 5 features Emiya Alter as the sole 4-star rate up. While this is also has good value as he is story locked, it has better gameplay value than the Passion Lip one, as Emiya Alter is a pretty strong single target archer. I should mention Day 4 briefly as well, that has all of the featured 4-star servants on rate up if you don't really care as to who we will get, but keep in mind that Suzuka is actually a permanent servant. And here the Cs are actually worth mentioning as well, as the 5-star event CE is a pretty solid one, especially if you manage to limit break this one too. And of course Kiara will receive a buff during this banner too, so she'll be an even better servant. So overall, a banner with a great mix of value and good gameplay. Now we're starting to get to the really juicy stuff. At the number 4 spot we have Sin Summoning Campaign 2. As you guys know, the banners of the Lost Belt Kings tend to be really good, and of course this one isn't an exception either. As the featured 5-star servant we have the first Emperor himself. The featured 4-star servant is Concert U, and Red Hair as the featured 3-star servant. Now with just value alone, this banner is very good, as the first Emperor is a limited servant and both you and Red Hair are story locked, so they are all pretty rare. A lot of you guys know that the Concert U might not be the strongest servant, sadly. We do have the amazing powerhouse in the first Emperor here though, and man, he is a beast. A very welcome addition to anyone's Chaldea, and guaranteed to boost the strength of your roster should you manage to summon him. I should also mention that this banner introduces new permanent CEs to the pool, and they are on rate up, and the 5-star CE is actually fairly good on many servants. I believe this is the second overcharge boosting CE ever added to the game, if I'm not mistaken, so if you don't have Demonic Bodhisattva yet at this point, it's a really nice CE to pick up. And of course, no 2020 video can't exist without the mention of the 3rd anniversary banner, so that will be holding the 3rd spot on the list, featuring Skadi as the 5-star servant, and later also singularity based rotating rate ups. But I'm just fully focusing on the Scotty solo right up here, and of course you guys don't need me to tell you how good she is. She enables so many farming comms and strategies, it's crazy. While the requirements for many of the speed farming comms are pretty steep, especially if you happen to be free to play, you can still make her work pretty well as a general support, even with just that 50% targeted battery. And she's not just for farming either, she can enable strats for challenge quests as well. Now, you may be calling me a hypocrite for including this banner just due to one servant when I didn't even include the Jalter banner in the actual top 10 list, but I do think that this had to be included. And in addition to her, the Anniversary 5-star C is pretty good too, and for once it's very usable even without the max limit break, and it's a pretty unique one that boosts your star gather rate but also gives you starting gauge, so this can definitely work for many servants. I use it quite a bit on Summer BB for instance. Not to mention, Scotty is actually a rare servant too, only having 2 raid ups ever at the recording of this video, so this banner should satisfy both your value and gameplay needs. Moving into the number 2 spot, we have the New Year's Guaranteed SSR banner that is actually ongoing right now. Now, some of you guys might be angry at me for including paid quartz banners, but hey, if you want value, then there is nothing better than getting an SSR guaranteed. This one, as you guys very well know, is separated into 2 pools, one for Knights plus Ruler and Avenger, and one for Cavalry plus Alter Ego and Foreigner. Honestly, there's not much for me to say about this banner, or banners rather. They both have good units in the pools for value and gameplay, so just go with whichever has better options for you personally. And this probably won't come as a surprise after seeing the number 2 spot, but at the number 1 spot we have the 3rd Anniversary Guaranteed SSR banner. This one actually offers you a lot more control in terms of your options, as it's separated into classes again. But as this has every rarity in the game, aka permanent, story locked and limited 5-star servants, I do think some classes are better than the others for value and gameplay. Most notably, the Lancer and Rider banners have some very good units in them, but let's be honest here, the best value has to be, and what almost everyone will be rolling for, is the Extra Class banner. It has a total pool of 10, of which only 1 servant is permanent and every other one is a limited one. You almost can't get any more value than that. And on top of that nice roster, this CSR only lets you summon servants from the class of the banner you're pulling from. So, because there's only 1 silver extra class servant in the game when this comes out, you are most likely getting many copies of Salieri as a bonus, possibly even 5 copies from just that one multi, just when you thought the value couldn't get any higher. Well, there you go, that's my list for the best value / gameplay banners coming to the NA this year. Feel free to shout at me for not including your favorite banners in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video, thank you to my lovely patrons. Like the video if this helped you, and subscribe for more. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.